Rashford double fires 3 Lions into last 16. The Daily Star. Thousands left feeling a tad delicate on Woozy Wednesday as England heroes cruise to 3-0 win against Wales. All right, now let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian also has a picture of Gareth Southgate and Marcus Rashford. But its lead story is on the results of clinical trial of a drug which has been found to slow decline in patients in the early stages of Alzheimer's. The landmark result has given experts hope the disease may be treatable, the paper reports. It's a fantastic news. Absolutely fantastic news. Let's look at the Times. The Times also have the same picture of Southgate and Rashford. It says that dementia drug slows decline. Also focusing on the results of the trial is the Times. The paper says the drug delivered as a fortnightly intravenous drip slows memory decline by 27% over 18 months. Expert says it is a historic moment. The paper reports. Daily Express. Phil Foden. It has a picture of Phil Foden. Listen, right? Excuse me. So the Daily Express also carrying the England players on the front page. Phil Foden gets the bigger, size, half of the page is dedicated to Phil Foden. Now Phil Foden only scored 1. Marcus Rashford scored 2, but it's just a small picture of Marcus Rashford. Listen, and I'm not just, nitpicking here. You might think I'm nitpicking here, but these things are done by design. They know exactly what they're doing, and I'm not surprised because it's the Daily Express, right-wing newspaper, and probably, I'm not sure, probably one of the main newspapers that crucified Marcus Rashford, Sancho, and Saka when they missed the penalty, right? But here we are. Marcus, the front pages should have been all about Marcus Rashford because he was exceptional. And then on their front page, less than half of population is Christian. The Daily Express, meanwhile, focuses on the latest census data, which revealed that less than half of the population identify as Christian. Only 46.2% of Britons describe themselves as Christian on the day of the census last year, down from 59.3% in the last census back in 2011. The census data shows the UK is becoming increasingly diverse, both in terms of religion and ethnicity, the paper says. Well, I guess probably down to migration, wouldn't it? They're probably down to people who have settled here, non-Christians who have settled here. But one thing we must acknowledge, right, is the fact that this country, Britain, has managed to separate religion from, politics. Whether you believe or you don't believe it, they've managed to do it. Whether it's just on the superficial level, but deep down, their faith is still very much at the heart of what they do. I mean, if you look at King Charles, who's the head of state, also the Church of England, and his will is to defend and protect the church. So, I mean, whether Prince Charles is a devout Christian, who knows? I don't know, right? I don't know. The Queen, yes, but Prince Charles. King Charles, I beg your pardon. King Charles. I don't know. All right, let's look at the I. UK Christians in minority for the first time since the Dark Ages. I would like to know a bit more about this and see why this is. Less than half of British population identifies as Christians for the first time in nearly 1,500 years. Analysis of census data for all four home nations, so Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, shows that 47.6% of UK people are Christians. Number dropped from 46 of people in England and Wales, down from 60% a decade ago. Christianity believed to have arrived in the year 597 with Augustine of Canterbury, before spreading. For 1,500 years, being English has meant, almost by definition, being Christian, says historians. Bishop of Burnley asks, is it people bringing the consume mindset? People live such busy lives. Church's views on women's rights, abortion, and sexuality have also influenced decline. So, now this is interesting. This is interesting because, yes, initially, once you claim to be a Brit, you know, by virtue, you're deemed as a Christian. But, since, I guess, identifying yourself, an individual identify themselves as LGBT or wherever the situation may be in the past, might still have claimed to be religious, but, hidden their faith. I mean, hidden wherever it is that they claim to be. Now that, it's out there, you can be wherever you profess to be without being discriminated against. I think people are now more or less just thinking that, if the church is going to turn their back on them, then they're going to turn their back on the church. So, so it's interesting. Let's look at the Daily Telegraph. Ambulance staff to hold strike for 30 years. Also a picture of Marcus Rashford and Gareth Southgate. The Daily Telegraph reports that ambulance staff are set to hold their first strike for 30 years. Unison, which represents thousands of health workers, including ambulance staff, porters and cleaners, announced that 80,000 of its members supported taking industrial action. And the Daily Mail, on the other hand, has a picture of Marcus Rashford. 3 Lions, 3 goals, 3 games from the final. Yes, so you have the knockout stage, which is the last 16, then the quarterfinals, semifinals, then finals. So let's see how far England can go. Mind you, they will face Senegal, and it would have been interesting if Senegal's talisman, Sadio Mane, was fit to play at this World Cup, because he could have been, he could have been the difference, to be honest with you. But let's wait and see. My take on it, I was going to talk about this later, but as soon as we're here, let me just say this. My take on this is, of course, we've seen Senegal play, and they're strong, very physical, very athletic, but these players, these English players, will be used to that because the Premiership embodies that, and they will be used to that. So we will see. We will see how far the Senegalese players or the team can go. The Daily Mail also focuses on Xmas turkey shortage fear. This is because of bird flu crisis, which wiped out half of free-range stock. And the Metro, the curse of crypto. A Russian billionaire has died in a helicopter crash, the Metro reports. He's the co-founder of Lebitex and is the third high-profile cryptocurrency tycoon to have died suddenly this month, the paper says. Let's look at the Financial Times. The Financial Times leads on a report that Britain is set to relax rules on ring-fencing banks. The measures were introduced in the wake of the 2008 financial crash, with the aim of reducing risk and prevent banking collapses. The paper says it marks a long-promised liberalization of post-Brexit financial services rules. Okay, so that's your newspaper headlines here. In the UK. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more. We'll look at what's happening across the continent of Africa and also give you more details about the breakthrough of a drug that could slow Alzheimer's disease from spreading, according to experts. So stay tuned. This is GN Radio, the breakfast show with me, Jones. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back shortly.
Yo, Ghana for you what English approach my muha. Ya sweady. Yenya emrenim fo a wen akwatare wo emrenim a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumyem for ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fortwell solicitors emrenim akuku drofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa kan wo krata na se wedi edro nso a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa setena mu eni adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de enika wo mu poni se no consultation fee.
Fortwell solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Yellow Milton Keynes.
Fortwell solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing. Ninga omoyebi. So wo pesa wo transform wo life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa wo pesa wo ye entrepreneur. Mon contact Base. Entrepreneur no che say obi a ebia wa wo business. Ebia wo ye che. But wo pesa wo ye no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base Bitmama Sa Diano Abim. One your experts ewo coaching and a mentoring. And as person will start wa business base for better how ubesia expand business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more free consultation for Base ewo
073 99 867 417. I repeat 073 99 867 417.
And also one more email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Akosia na mutini seni akoda ye de sese de sa jinsemu ebusua ese de mepe no no uyonku da si wono busane mamme hwe ya so re prekupe na fa akora no kona kwagina yaresa adan wo wura fise ebisa wo yi efritwa kunkrum ana samuel nwome di kan etredu no nwotwe di chemu nwotwe no eho na bra na so wo ne Philippine for ekokon wokọ oba bia no aben ewo humu emode to nanim se wokokon na obewu asante kotokose se wote wotwo so a ehimu enu nti so re prekupe na tutumirika na fa akora no kwagina yarehwe esanse anoma wo ho ye monopo maame kosohwe wabua nipa pii ono ma ti se yimu opeme okonechi na wasan ababiem sese de onnam posene kane no wonim se oba bia cha adwaye a na osiesie no honhum yade te se obaidi honhum attack adayeso basabasa kodanna abrabo na sinitrase ayemhyehye wo hyehye na adwiregu abrabo mu adeso biada wo ba abrochire hayi ya santo apen so nanso wo nko a wosia na abu wo hyehye na adwire wo bopa na esane sikato wo nsam a na ahye kai na hunu se obiara nu a watumi atumirika esan otwen ho da ma wo ho enye hare na wo de na ankoye se abrodwuma a woforobo wieye na afio obeka se wonu no ho wodno yade adokotafo entimi ansa no enumpo eno ye ho adwuma frema me koso hwe wo ahoma so 0790846914 ana 0740580734 mame koso hwe ana ye twere no a ye twere botantim
Welcome back. This is GN Radio, the breakfast show with me, Jones. Hope you're well and safe. If you just tune in, before we went on a break, we're actually looking at the newspaper headlines here. And a lot of the story, the newspapers are leading with England's win against Wales yesterday. As they beat Wales 3-0 to book their place at the, the last 16, the knockout stages of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And it's actually refreshing not to focus on Qatar and the LGBT community issue and other issues for a change. And it's all about the action on the pitch. All right, now let's move on. I just wanted to give you a bit more updates on this particular story. Alzheimer's drug hailed as momentous breakthrough. The first drug to slow the destruction of the brain in Alzheimer's has been heralded as momentous. The research breakthrough ends decades of failure and shows a new era of drugs to treat Alzheimer's, the most common form of dementia. Yes, it is possible. Yet the medicine has only a small effect and impact on people's daily lives. Okay. And the drug works in the early stages of the disease, so most would miss out without revolution in spotting it. Wow. Okay. So the drug, in effect, builds up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. For a medical field littered with duds, despair and disappointment, some see these trial results as triumphant turning points. Alzheimer's Research UK said the findings were momentous, and I quote them as saying that, where is the quote? Right, so this is Professor John Hardy, said that historic and was optimistic. We're seeing the beginning of Alzheimer's therapies. Professor Tyra Spires Jones from the University of Edinburgh said the results were a big deal because we've had a 100% failure rate for a long time. So, just to give you a picture of what this means, not just to the experts, but people who are suffering from Alzheimer's. All right, let's look at other news as well. I did mention Senegal making it to the knockout stages of the World Cup. They will face England in the last 16. So let's take a quick listen to this report.
The African champion Senegal are the first team on the continent to qualify for the round of 16 in the ongoing FIFA World Cup. The Tarangas managed to defeat Ecuador on Tuesday evening, sealing a spot in the competition. Ismail Assar broke the deadlock just before half-time by converting a penalty he had won himself. The South Americans equalized at the 68th minute, but 2 minutes later the captain Kalidou Koulibaly gave Senegal a further advantage. With this precious victory, Senegal finished second in their group behind the Netherlands, who also defeated Qatar 2-0. The next opponent will be Marcus Rashford, England, once again who domineered against their neighbours Wales. England easily won 3-0 with a double from Manchester United striker Phil Foden, who also scored. See you this Sunday in Qatar for a real fight of the Lions.
All right. Gosh, I know who I'll be cheering for sure. I mean, listen, when it comes to football, I do like England. I do. And for some reason, I just feel, I don't know whether it's because of the whole issue with Qatar. I just feel like the newspapers have not been as sensational with England as they've been previously. So who knows? Maybe this year might be the time for England since 1966. But whilst we're looking at what's happening across the continent of Africa, let's bring you some other world news stories as well. And we're looking at the USA. The leader of the far-right militia has been found guilty of plotting to stop U.S. President Joe Biden from taking office after the 2020 elections. A jury found Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes guilty of the rare charge of seditious conspiracy following a 2-month trial. He plotted an armed rebellion to stop the transfer of power from Donald Trump to Mr. Biden, according to prosecutors. 4 more were on trial with him, with related to the 2021 Capitol riots, something that we all saw on TV. And 3 of the group, Jessica Watkins, Kelly Meggs, and Kenneth Halson, went inside the building during the attack. Meggs was also found guilty of seditious conspiracy on Tuesday. Both Rhodes and Meggs now face a maximum 20-year sentence on the charges. Now, listen, the reason why I think this is very important is because for most people who claim that, democracy doesn't work and, I mean, listen, you can argue about democracy that it's a system that the U.S. Using for their own benefits. I mean, you don't need to go far. Remember the Cold War. It was a battle of ideologies, communism and democracy. And the fact that the mother of all nations, the mother of democracy, America, could turn on itself was alarming. To the point where, scholars have written articles about this. How democracy is unsustainable. Even the strongest and the most powerful democratic country, arguably the USA, its democracy came under threat. And for these people to be put behind bars, and the fact that people are still out there, bought into this whole conspiracy theory, is just mind-boggling. Like the old saying goes, no one is above the state. Listen, you can get your militia and your militant group or whatever to try and stop the transfer of power, but you will not succeed. You will not succeed because you're not more superior than the state. You will not succeed. All right, so let's bring you other stories as well. And in Namibia is set to have its first female president. Namibia's Deputy Prime Minister, Netumbo Nandi Ditwa. No, her name is Datwa, yes. Netumbo Nandi Datwa is an inch closer to becoming the southwestern country's first female president. Now, the way that the system runs is slightly different. Namibia's ruling party elected Nandi as his vice president, making her the front runner to lead the party into the country's upcoming national elections in 2024. And the 70-year-old edged out Prime Minister Sarah Amadila and Environment Minister Pohamba Shafita in a race for the number 2 position in Southwest African People's Organization. The country is a one-party state, so what happens is when the leader steps down, then the vice president automatically takes over. As I just said, the president, Haj Jiengob, who is due to step down at the end of his current term, refused to endorse a successor as his predecessors had done. And I quote him as saying, "We have made history by electing the first female president come 2024. In the president's speech, he also went on to say that, "I would like to tell her your task going ahead is heavy." Wow. SWAPO has led Namibia since independence in 1990 and remains the country's biggest political party, but its popularity has recently waned because of discontent over rampant unemployment and graft scandal that led to the arrest of former cabinet minister and businessman linked to the party. So that's interesting because when it comes to a lot of these African countries, in terms of, progressiveness, is something that is difficult to find in most, not all. Some might argue that, in Ghana, for instance, I don't think that's the case, even though majority of parliamentarians in Ghana happens to be men. When you look at positions of influence or decision-making position, a lot of women have filled that role in Ghana. So in terms of progressiveness, I think Ghana is on the right track. So again, well done to Namibia for taking such position. All right, let's look at other stories as well. Yeah, all right, let's look at this. I've got my producer telling me one thing, but let's look at this. Chadian lawyers down tools in protest of mass trial of anti-government demonstrators. Let's take a quick listen to this particular story.
Chad's decision to try a total of 401 people detained during and after a deadly anti-governmental protest has attracted opposition from lawyers in the West African country. The lawyers announced Monday they will down their tools, ceasing all activities for the duration of the mass trial. This is a risk that we agree to take for 2 reasons. The first reason is to not support this, even if it may cost these citizens who have the right to have this defense. But in addition, to denounce it. There is a risk that these people, without the assistance of lawyers, they could be wrongly convicted or whatever. But this kind of thing has already been done for a very long time in Chad. The train has already derailed. We are no longer on the right track. We are now in lump sum situation. Opposition groups had initially encouraged protests on October 20th to mark the date when the ruling military had initially promised to cede power, a timeline that General Mahamat Idris Deby Itno has now extended by 2 years.
And of course, this is as a result of the court looking to put 401 Chadians who were detained during and after a deadly anti-government protest last month. Elsewhere in South Africa, The grave of anti-apartheid activist Chris Hani was vandalized in South Africa a week after the controversial announcement of the early release of his killer. Sources from the municipality where the monument has been erected said on Tuesday. The monument was vandalized overnight from Saturday to Sunday. One of the pillars is badly damaged. One side collapsed, and the lighting system was stolen. A demonstration against the release of the assassin, who goes by the name of Chris Hani. I actually read a report yesterday that he actually got stabbed in prison. In the Hall of Heroes of Anti-Apartheid Struggle, and whose disappearance is commemorated each year in South Africa, gathered dozens of people on Saturday at the core of the ANC. And if you go on Twitter as well, you see the picture of the killer of anti-apartheid leader Chris Hani, who is said to be released on parole. Why would they even release such people? Just keep them in prison. The Central African government said plane that flew back to neighboring country bombed a base of its army and Russian paramilitary allies in the northwest on Monday, which is threatening retaliation. The aircraft dropped explosives in the town of Basonga, targeting the base of our defense forces, that of our allies, as well as the cotton factory. The government of the country, where the army and hundreds of fighters from Russia, private security group, are fighting rebels, said in a statement. All right, now let's turn our attentions. Let's look at what's happening in Ghana. There's one story that actually cracks me up. Martin Amidi, the former special prosecutor, said that the Speaker of Parliament needs to stop behaving like a village chief. And I quote him as saying, "Stop behaving like a village chief. We're not your subject." Martin Amidi was referring to the fact that on the floor in Parliament, where the Speaker was trying to allude to members of Parliament, saying that, listen, do not insult my intelligence or do not question my knowledge on parliamentary affairs. And Martin Amidi is here saying that stop behaving like a village chief. That actually cracked me up. Okay, that actually cracked me up. He's actually known for using big words. Martin Amidi, he's known for that. Very descriptive words that I think he was him that first used the word, is it Gangantuam or what was it? Gangantuam, anyway. But yeah, all right. In other news in Ghana, if I am a vice president, how can the finance minister bully me? Wow. So this is from Ken Ejapon. Ken Ejapon is quoted as saying, "If I am a vice president, how can a finance minister bully me?" A Central Member of Parliament, Ken Ejapon, has taken on the vice president, Mahamudu Bawumia, claiming that the second gentleman has allowed himself to be bullied by the embattled finance minister. Ejapon, in his viral audio making the rounds on social media throughout yesterday, is heard ostensibly addressing a party gathering where he is being cheered by the audience. He alleges further that the only way out of the current economic headwinds is to take the country from people who serially theorize about solutions to known challenges and hand it over to people with practical hands-on experience. And I quote him as saying, "If you are a vice president, how do you stay there for finance minister to bully you? If I am the vice president, how can a finance minister bully me?" And now you come back and say you have not been given the opportunity. What else do you want us to give to you to prove that you are effective? The outspoken lawmaker who is aspiring to lead the governing NPP party is heard saying. And he goes on further to say, please, I'm telling you the gospel truth so that you do not make any mistakes. What we can do to change this country and the way the government is suffering from this economy, if we don't change the same faces that has given us economic theories. Okay, so maybe I'll play the tape.
For Finance Minister Tubule. If I'm a vice president, but if you're a vice president, how do you sit there for Finance Minister Tubule? If I'm a vice president, how can Finance Minister bully me? And now you come back and tell us we have not been given opportunity. What else do you want us to give you to prove that you are effective? Please, I'm telling you the gospel truth so that you don't make any mistake. What we can do to change this country and the way the government is suffering from this economy, if we don't change the same phase that have been giving us economic theories, telling you when your exchange rate, when your fundamentals are weak, your exchange rate will expose. When you were making that statement, the exchange rate was 4 cedis 20 pesos. Friday, it was 15 cedis to $1. What message are you going to give to Ghanaians again? And let me tell you, I tell you straight, I'm saying all these things because of Samba and Northeast. Yes, I'm telling you, I've never mentioned all these things. But let me tell you, Madam, I'm serious. From March this year to August this year, through exchange rates, I lost $12 million. So today, I don't even count it.
Okay, so that's Canada Japan saying that from March to April he lost $12 million. I keep saying this, right? At one point we all have to tell the truth. At one point we all have to tell the truth, and this is the beauty of politics. Clearly, Canada Japan, of course, we all know his presidential ambitions, and the fact that he's essentially throwing the vice president under the bus explains it. And is he wrong in what he's saying? Absolutely not. Was he also supporting Bawumia when Bawumia made such statements? I think back in 2016. Yes, he was. And my question is, so now Canada Japan can sit there and say that Bawumia was giving us theories. But today, as he's vying to become the president of the country, he's in a sense calling him out to be incompetent, saying that we cannot give opportunity to the same people who claim that they had the technical know-how, or for them to claim they were not given the opportunity. What else, what other opportunity could be given to them? This is politics. It's nothing personal, just politics. And the reason I'm saying that, at one point we all have to tell the truth is that the economic hardship has affected everybody, especially if you're a businessman or woman. If you're in the private sector. So at one point, we all have to tell the truth. Because one way or the other, it's going to have an implication on all of us. All right, let's read a few messages that have come in. This is from Awuah. Good morning to you too. Awuah saying good morning. Good morning to you too. I hope that Senegal will beat England on Sunday. To be honest with you, Jones, anyhow England beats Senegal, I think the whole country would think that England is going to win the World Cup. I'll come back to more of your messages. I don't think so, because I think, what was it? The World Cup 2018, England did go far, didn't they? And then in the end, they couldn't get all the way. It's good to hear that a woman is on course to become the president of Namibia. This is what we like to see. Slowly, slowly, things are changing. The more progressive we become, the more we can inspire and encourage the next generation to also take up strong leadership roles. And then finally, please tell Kennedy Japan to go and sit somewhere. We're sick and tired of his rants. Kennedy Japan is unstable, and I don't think he's fit for office. Can you imagine Kennedy Japan as the president of Ghana? Thank you very much, Ajwa. I mean, whether I can imagine or not imagine, it's up to Ghanaians to decide who they want to be the next president of the country. It's not up to me. It's up to Ghanaians. He's a Ghanaian, so he has every right to also put himself forward. This is from Janet. Janet is saying, oh, the message has disappeared. Okay, it's back on now. And Janet is saying, well done to England. Continue to shine. Let the black players in England continue to shine, and we'll continue to support them. No matter what, they've done well. Going to the knockout stages is not easy. I like the fact that a lot of women are watching football. I'm not being sexist, right? I'm just saying I like the fact that a lot of women are watching football. Now, whether they can go all the way, Jones, I don't know. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. The story about the South African man, I've been following this story. I remember when he was convicted, and for them to let him come out on parole is disgusting. He should stay in jail and rot in jail. And finally, please, Kennedy Japan needs to relax. He needs to relax. What has he done as an MP for his people? He should stop disturbing our ears. We're sick and tired of his rants. Okay, another one. I wonder if Jenna and Ajua know each other. It's interesting. This is from Francis. Francis is saying, good morning, Jones, and love the job you're doing. Oh, thank you, Francis. Francis is saying, what I like about this show is not highly politicized, and we get various of topics that where we appreciate. So keep up the good work. I'm not Ghanaian, but I like listening to news about Ghana because to us, Ghana is one of the best countries across the continent of Africa. I'm there to visit there, but all the same, from what I see and hear from people, I can't wait to visit Ghana. I hope England go far, but I want Ghana or Senegal to go further. My money is on one of the African countries to make it all the way to the finals. And hopefully, one day, it might be this year, might be able to lift the World Cup. Good morning to you and your listeners. Thank you, Francis. Keep your thoughts and comments coming in. I want to hear from you. 0203-735-8820 or 077-8793-9958. Let's hear your take this morning on what's happening in the world. All right. Let me read a couple more messages. Eugene is saying, good morning to you, Jones. What's he saying? Oh, here we go. It's great news that there is some sort of medication to fight against Alzheimer's. Anyone with any family who suffers from dementia knows how difficult and challenging that this is. So this is a massive breakthrough. Massive breakthrough. So kudos to the experts. I'm looking forward to Ghana versus Uruguay. And who knows what could happen. Let's not forget, Ghana have scored 6 goals, but they've also conceded 5 goals, Jones. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What is your thoughts on it? Because last time you spoke very well about Ghana going forward. my thoughts. Okay. Interesting. I did say this, that the way that South Korea set up would actually suit the Black Stars, right? And also that the coach Otto Addo needs to have some belief that the team can go as far as they can, because this tournament there's no pressure, considering how the Black Stars played in the African Cup of Nations. Going forward again now, Uruguay different, similar to South Korea but different as well, because these South American countries, they're a footballing nation. And so Suarez will be playing again. So it's a shame Asamoah Gyan could not make it. Asamoah Gyan could not make it to the tournament. But I think this is going to be difficult. This is going to be tougher than South Korea. I think this game will be tougher than South Korea. And I think the managers will also will notice that. Nevertheless, they must be full of confidence. They must know that, yes, even if they go down, they can still come back, and get a goal. It looks like set pieces is where we can get joy from. So we have to utilize set pieces. What would be disastrous will be for the coach, again, to take a more defensive approach. I don't think that's going to work. I think, you want to make it to the knockout stages, they need to go all out. They need to go all out and not hold back and not be defensive minded, but to go out there on the offense, because the game is there for the taking and they can win. They can certainly win against Uruguay. If anything, revenge. They have to. I think if the Black Stars are able to defeat Uruguay, I think a lot of people will forgive the Black Stars for the mishaps that took place back in 2014. This is GN Radio, The Breakfast Show. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more.
Your body sharp for debate. I started beat about the bush to date. To think about the way you scatter the place. I want to talk about the smile on your face. This your love now on your ma. FDA don't stamp on them. Won't you show me how you move? Cause I've been waiting for a minute to be your boo. Cause your back though, turn around though. Baby, are you already? Put a man though, you go like to. Try me, you know I'm ready. Cause your back though, turn around though. Baby, are you already? Put a man though, you go like to. Try me, you know I'm ready. I no go shout, I no go rush, I no go pin it by force. I will sit down when I will choke. I will kneel down when with your love. Is it because I know the salt, I know the chicken licking your paws? You must be living in my cause. I will pick you with my love, Maria, And if you've got me, you must know that I've got you, Maria, Just like a tattoo, girl, I'll always have you. Hold your back though, turn around though.
Yo, Ghana for you what English approach my muha. Ya sweaty. Yenya emrenim fo a wen akwadare wo emrenim a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumiyem for ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fortwell solicitors emrenim akuku drofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa kan wo krata na se wedi edron so a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa setena mu eni adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de eni kan wo mu mponi se no consultation fee.
Fortwell solicitors always always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. 412 Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. 412 Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
412 Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing, ninga omoyebi. So pesa will transform your life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa pesa wo ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no che say obia ebia wa wo business. Ebia wo ye che. But wo pesa wo ye no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base betmama sa diano abim. One your experts ewo coaching and a mentoring. And as o person will start wa business base for better how a ubesi expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more free consultation for a Base ewo
073 99 867 417. I repeat 073 99 867 417.
And also one email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
For debate, I started beat about the bush to date. To think about the way you scatter the place. I want to talk about the smile on your face. This your love now on your ma. FDA don't stamp on them. Won't you show me how you move? Cause I've been waiting for a minute to be your boo. Close your back though, turn around though. Baby, are you already? What a man though, you go like to try me, you know I'm ready. Close your back though, turn around though. Baby, are you already? Put a man though, we go like to try me, you know I'm ready. I no go shout, I no go rush, I no go pin it by force. I will sit down.
Welcome back to the show. This is GN Radio, the breakfast show with me, Jones Awuah. Now, I just want to bring you some news to do with Nigeria. So, Lagos, a consortium led by a Portugal's builder, Mortar Engel, and two Chinese ventures, has been shortlisted by Nigeria's Lagos state to build a $2.5 billion bridge that is expected to relieve severe congestion in the megacity, an official said. The 37-kilometer fourth mainland bridge will be built under a public-private partnership It will include 3 toll plazas, 9 interchanges, and a design speed of 120 kilometers per hour. A senior spokesperson for the Lagos State governor said that. Anyway, so let's the reason why I'm bringing this story up now. Listen, I know how congested Lagos is. I mean, speaking to friends and looking at, what happens in Lagos. And I mean, these infrastructures, of course, it will have the Chinese behind it. That is not a problem. But if you want to reduce congestion, yes, bridges do help. But clearly, another form of transport would be ideal as opposed to building a bridge. Listen, I keep saying this. We, as journalists or broadcasters, whatever it may be, when you sit behind the console in the morning or whenever, there is a level of responsibility that you hold. And our thing is to talk about our problems, right? And change the narrative. When I say change the narrative, I don't mean to sugarcoat whatever is going on or to dilute it, so to speak, but to talk about our issues ourselves. We cannot sit idle and expect the BBC to tell us what's going on, because the BBC don't know what's going on. The BBC are hearing things, are getting second-hand information. But we've lived there. We know the situation. We know how things are. And the one thing that we have in common as Africans is the poverty, right? And the lack of infrastructure. Well, some might be more advanced than others, but there is a threshold. And if you look at the threshold, don't want to compare, but in modern society, we're far behind. And everybody talks about how congested Lagos State is. Lagos State actually has more population, in terms of population-wise, have more people than Ghana. So, you're talking about building a bridge worth $2.5 billion to alleviate congestion. So cars can drive over 120 kilometers per hour. Am I missing something here? If you really want to reduce congestion, is the answer building a bridge? I'm not saying it will not reduce congestion. I'm not saying that, but surely another form of transport would be ideal. Railway. Or faster railways. More railways. All right, let's go to some of your text messages. Keep sending your text messages. It is difficult sometimes. It is difficult sometimes. It is difficult. It is very, very difficult. Well, railway is still under construction in Lagos. It's still under construction in Lagos. Sometimes you have to laugh, and it's not because we've been westernized. And this is, this is what actually infuriates me. The same for Ghana. If you're going somewhere in Ghana, your best bet is to leave early. If you want to get home in time, your best bet is to leave early. Because as soon as that rush hour time hits, forget it. And you talk about, I mean, we cannot just all use the road. We cannot. It's not logical. And what I'm saying is not, I'm not being idealistic, it's realistic. You cannot, all of us, ways of commuting or, going about our day-to-day business is by a road. A majority of people, of course, some by air. Right now I'm talking about one particular part, Accra. And it's alarming. It is alarming. I don't know why it's taking so long to gosh. In this day and age. This is from James. James is saying, Jones, I share your sentiments and I share your frustration. It's just mind-boggling to spend this amount of money on a bridge. However, the railway is under construction. Unbelievable. Misplaced priorities. This is from Dennis. Dennis is saying, Jones, Ghana is a very funny country. Kennedy Japan today wants to repeat Bawumia's words to him. Is he not part of the same government? Is he not an MP under this government? Wonders shall never cease. That's from Dennis. It's interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. I mean, this is politics. Anything goes. Anything goes. And politics, as they say, is a dirty game. But I think in our context, it's not dirty. It's muddy. It's muddy. Yeah, they will tell you, we'll meet you boot for boot. And so it's a matter of how far you can go. Stephen has texted in. Good morning to you, Jones. I'm listening to you because a friend of mine sent me the link. Well done and congratulations on a good job. I didn't know this radio station existed. I'll be tuning in on a daily basis now. With football, we're hoping that England can bring the trophy home, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I heard you saying that the newspapers have not really highlighted the English team at this year's World Cup. I agree, and I think it was best for all of us. I think a lot of concentration was spent on the issues surrounding Qatar, but now it's great to see that the focus is back on football. Let's hope it comes home. To be fair, it has been very long, hasn't it? 1966 was the last time England won the World Cup. Well, let's hope that England can go all the way. Listen, there is something happening. Yesterday, I had an appointment. Then after my appointment, I had the opportunity to go to an event, right? And the event was, what was it called? The Black British Network. And I thought it was fascinating, simply because there are people within our community doing really, really well, And this man, he goes by the name of Cephas Williams. So he's created this platform to bring black people, black professionals, in the private sector together to share their experiences. And the event was dubbed Systemic Racism. So individual battles and how they were able to navigate through the challenges to attain such prominent position in their respective fields. And the discussion went from racism to mental health to education to why black children are failing in schools, and knife crime. We had a young man who came on there to share his experience, as his son was murdered, and he was sharing his experiences, how he was raised and how he raised his son, and unfortunately his son lost his life. And we also had, oh gosh, I've forgotten his name. He's an actor, a white man. He's an actor who starred in the movie Narnia. I've forgotten his name. And so this whole he came when it was his time to talk. His one was about the systemic racism and the white privilege. And funny enough, I think the reason why his views has changed is that he was actually raised in Kenya. So his family, his grandparents lived in Kenya. So he experienced that culture at the same time, the British or the English culture. So he has seen both cultures, and he was able to articulate his thoughts very, very well. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of work being done within the black community, and we must support what we're doing collectively in this space. I say this because of what the previous text was saying, that did not know about this particular radio station. A friend sent it to him, and he will listen. So I just want to say that there's a lot of good deeds, good work being done within our community, and we all have to play our parts, and hopefully we'll be able to spread our wings and be the platform to discuss issues affecting us. Because if you call the mainstream media platforms, they do make sure that they select the type of people that they want to talk to, if you know what I mean. And when you're on there, you don't really get that much time to air your views. So this is why we're here. So do continue to listen to us. And I just want to give a shout out to the people in the what do you call them, Black British Network. It was amazing. It was really, really amazing. And I was able to make contact with a lot of people whom I would have the privilege of inviting here to talk. So there are people doing fantastic job in the community. Also some people that I know as well who were there. All right, now let's look at some of the messages that have come in. This is from Joshua. Joshua is saying, Jones, I don't think England will win the World Cup. Brazil looking good. France looking good. England so far have had it very easy. England, for some reason, always have good, are placed in good groups, but then when it comes to the crunch, they always fail. I'm not holding my breath whether they can bring it home or not. I don't think they can. Secondly, on the issue of the bridge in Nigeria, it's a good idea, but I think it's a misplaced priorities. I've been to Lagos before. Lagos is congested. Lagos is busy. I think, like you said, railway would be another option I would prefer, because building another bridge would just encourage people to just keep using the same route, which can help, but in the long term, it won't make that much of a difference. Railway, I say all day long. Good morning, good job. Continue with your work. Oh, thank you. All right, let me take another message. This is from, the person did not put their name on there. Good morning, Jones. I'm listening to you. This is the first time listening to this radio station. I didn't know this radio station was about. I've been following the football, and to be honest with you, mate, I don't think England would win the tournament. I would love for England to win the tournament, but unfortunately, I don't think they will be able to. I mean, look at our centre backs. Maguire for Manchester United has been Okay, I can't repeat these words on radio. Let's just say has not been effective. Hurricane has not been that effective either. It's fair to say the teams that we've played so far have been substandard teams. The real test will come. I don't think Senegal will pose any real significant test to England, but fingers crossed. Let's hope they bring it home. Good show, listening to your show. Okay. Keep your thoughts and comments coming in. This is GN Radio, the breakfast show with me, Jonas Awuah. We're taking another break. When we come back, we'll talk more.
Your body sharp for debate. I started beat about the bush to date. To think about the way you scatter the place. I want to talk about the smile on your face. This your love now on your ma. FDA don't stamp on them. Won't you show me how you move? Cause I've been waiting for a minute.
Yo, Ghana for your English approach my muha. Ya sweaty. Yenya emrenim fo a wen akwatare wo emrenimo a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumiyem for immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fortwell solicitors emrenim akuku drofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa kan wo krata na se wedi edon so a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa sitena mu eni adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de enika wo mu mponi se no consultation fee.
Fortwell solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
Fortwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Akosia na mutini seni akoda ya de sese de sa di nsemu
Ebusua ese de me pe no uyonku da si wono busane mame
hwe ya sori preku pe na fa akora no kona kwaji na yaresa adan wo wura fise ebisa wo yi efritwa kunkun ana Samuel ngo me di kan etredu no nwotwe di chemu nwotwe no eho na bra na so wo ne Philippines fo ekokon wokọ oba bia no abe ewo humu emode to nanim se wokokon na obewu asante kotokose se wote wotwo so a ehimu enu nti sori preku pe na tutumirika na fa akora no kwakwaji na yarehwe esanse anoma wo hoye ye monopo maame kosohwe abo ni papi wonyo meti se yimu opeme okọ nachi na wasan ababiem sese de onnam posene kane no wonim se oba bia cha adwaye a na osiesie no honhum yade te se obaidi honhum attack adayeso basabasa kodanna abrabo na sinitrase ayemhyehye wo hyehye na adwiregu abrabo mu adeso biada wo ba abrochire hayi ya santo apenso nanso wonko a wosia na ebu wo hyehye na adwire obopa na esane sikato wonsam a na ahye kai na hunu se obiara nu a watumi atumirika esan otwe ho da ma wo ho enye hare na wo de na ankoye se abrodwuma a woforobo wieye na afio obeka se wonu no ho wonu yade adokotafo entimi ansa no enumpo eno ye ho adwuma frema me kosohwe wo ahoma so 0790846914 ana 0740580734 0740580734 07034. Mame koso hwa na yetwe no a yetwe botentim.
Abusiafo yedi dwumadie foforo ebrem wo GN Radio. Your friend of worship and inspiration every Sunday evening between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. Daniel Kweku Datson and Amanda Ofori at this Dwumadie Ebro. Make sure that you tune in. It's going to be an awesome moment of worship, God's word, conversation, gospel celebrity interviews, Bible knowledge, and what have you. And also your comments. I want to hear from you, your testimonies, what inspires you, and a lot more. Make sure say on miss our programming every Sunday evening at GN Radio. Worship and inspiration. Your weekly inspiration starts from here.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing, ninga omoyebi. So pesa will transform your life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa pesa wo ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no chere say obia ebia wa wo business. Ebia wo ye che. But pesa wo ye no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base betmama sa diano abim. One your experts ewo coaching and a mentoring. And as person will start wa business base for better how ubesi expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more per free consultation for a Base ewo
073 99 867 417. I repeat 073 99 867 417.
And also one more email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Turn around, though, baby, are you already? What a man, though, we go like to try me, you know I'm ready. On your back, though, turn around, though, baby, are you already? What a man, though, we go like to try me, you know I'm ready. I no go shout, I no go rush, I no go pin it by force. I will sit down when I will choke, I will kneel down when with your love. Is it because I know the salt, I know the chicken licking your paws? You must be believing in my cause. I will pick you with my love. Maria,
Welcome back to the program. Continue to send your text messages in. Let's bring you other stories as well. A high court in Nigeria has sentenced the country's police chief to 3 months in prison for disobeying the court order. The ruling followed a lawsuit by a police officer who was fired in 1992. The officer challenged his dismissal, which was later quashed in court. The High Court ruled that Inspector General Osman Alkali Baba should serve the jail sentence unless he reinstates the police officer. So far, the police force has failed to comply. In a statement, police spokesman Olumuyiwa Adejobi described the decision to punish his boss as astonishing. He said the police force was studying the ruling to decide on what action to take. And I quote, "It is instructive to know that the case in point concern an officer who was dismissed as far back as 1992, a few years after the current IGP joined the Nigerian police force. Anyway, okay. Let's look at other stories as well. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has said that the Russian-Ukraine conflict and the Sahel insurgency have caused a proliferation of arms in the Lake Chad Basin countries. He said weapons being used in Ukraine and Russia were beginning to filter to the region, and arms used in Libya war continues to find their way there. He said this was a major threat to the security of the regional countries of Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. Regrettably, the situation in the Sahel and the raging war in Ukraine serves as major sources of weapons and fighters to bolster the ranks of the terrorists in the region. Now, this from Buhari is not new. This is not new. I mean, I think even back in 2017, when the people of Benue State were saying that the Fulani herdsmen were destroying their crops and killing people, amputating people, terrorizing people. You know, the president of Nigeria, Buhari, said that, you know, Fulani herdsmen were not to be held responsible for what was happening, but rather terrorist groups who get arms from the Sahel region, who have infiltrated the Nigerian community, were the ones that are actually committing these atrocities, not the Fulani herdsmen. Wow. So it's interesting how the war in Ukraine, weapons are finding its way onto the continent. Let's look at other stories as well. And the first ship in years to dock in jihadists hit Mozambique port. A Mozambican port has received its first ship in 3 years after activities were stopped over jihadist attacks. The cargo vessel carrying fuel, vehicles, and other equipment docked at the port of Mosimboa de Praia in the northern Camboa Delgado province, which has been wrecked by jihadist violence for years. Wow. Remember, it was on Monday, right, that we spoke about the re-election, the re-elected president of Equatorial Guinea, President Teodoro Obiang. He was re-elected for the 6th term, and he had been in power since 1979, and he's 80 years old. Now, the U.S., the United States of America, mother of all democracy, the ones teaching us which way to go. The U.S. says that it has serious doubts about the credibility of Equatorial Guinea's election results that saw the world's longest-serving president continue his 43-year rule. Now, I said this on Monday when it comes to democracy. I mean, I guess, I don't know, but democracy is fascinating and it's very complex in its nature, but at the same time, very simple by definition, right? So if you go back, I mean, when I look at things, I like to always look at the historical element to it. And, you know, if you compare, and I think I've shared this with you, right? James Madison, you know, these were the pioneers of democracy. If you read the letters that was written, the Federalists, and this is why the U.S. adopted the federal system as opposed to the presidential system or the parliamentary system operating here in the UK and, you know, in most parts of the world. in Ghana, for instance. And he studied, he read a lot of books or about Greek mythology or Greek democracy, because the word demos comes from, it's a Greek word, right? And he realized that, yes, when it starts, it works to a certain point, then it fails. And then he saw that people with the same ideas or the same intention can come together to mobilize people, to more or less pull down the government, or to, in his words, he said people who owe debtors or who are in debt can turn on the debtors, meaning they can mobilize people to turn against the ones that they owe money to, and also, destroy property. And he labeled these. He named these as factions. So, in attempt to delay mobilization of factions at that time, in the, I think, around the 16th, 17th century. At that time, because the world, if you take his theory, it will not work now, because now, thanks to technological advancement, we can call people and mobilize in real time. Back then, they couldn't. The infrastructure was not there. So the whole point was to delay the mobilization of people. Governors will be able to meet, to deliberate through things, and to bring about, to find a solution. And this was the idea behind the federal state, in a simple term, right? So, if you look at, and I've said this, and last week, no, on Monday, when I said that an article released by the European Parliament looking at why there's a decline in democracy, particularly across Africa. And, these autocratic regimes are still very much alive around the strong men. Is that a lot of them use democracy as a smoke screen to hold on to power. I mean, I mentioned this again, you can talk about President Museveni. He will tell you he has been democratically elected. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He has been elected. And yes, he has, because he had elections. The US can talk about how they can talk about the credibility of the elections, but it's been done. How many times has there been election? And clearly that there were more practices, there were irregularities, but the same international community who are now saying that the credibility of the Equatorial Guinea elections is questionable. The same international community will tell you that, hey, the elections were free and fair. The same people will tell you the elections were free and fair. Why? Could it be that whoever, through dubious means, or whatever the reasons may be, to attain power, actually serves their interests? That's something for us to think about. That's something for us to think about. Given the scale of irregularities observed and announced, results given the ruling party 94.9% of the vote, we have serious doubts about the credibility of the announced results, said the U.S. State Department. It said there were credible allegations of significant election-related irregularities, including documented instances of fraud, intimidation, and coercion. President Obiang seized power in 1979 after a military takeover and has survived several coup attempts. He has a strong grip on the oil-rich Central African nation. Did you hear that? He has a strong grip on the oil-rich Central African nation. He has a strong grip. I'm not alluding to anything, right? But we've seen these instances play far too much. You know, who are the USA to tell us what is right and what is wrong? So all of a sudden they have the moral compass to tell us, hey, that is wrong. Unless I'm mistaken. Unless I'm mistaken. All right, let me read. Let's read a few of your messages. This is from Ishmael. Ishmael is saying, Jones, the issue in Nigeria is very serious. Lagos is overpopulated and very congested. I think the bridge is a good idea. However, an alternative form of transportation would be best. Yes, we are aware that the railway is under construction, but they need to speed things up. On the subject of democracy, they brought democracy, we're practicing it. What is their problem? Now they want to tell us how democracy should work. I beg, they should leave us alone. I want to see Ghana win the World Cup. Thank you. Thank you for your take this morning, Ishmael. You can also send your text messages to 077-879-39958. You can also call. And let's talk. Plenty of things to talk about when it comes to the continent of Africa. Now, hold on. Let me take this. Let me read this message. Actually, this is the president. You do not. Please, I encourage you to leave your name. All right, when you do send your message, do leave your name, and it makes it easier. Okay, it makes things much easier. My money is on Senegal to go all the way, even without money. I believe that they're more than capable of beating England. They just need to be more defensive, less free kicks, because as Rashford proved yesterday, England can capitalize on free kicks. Secondly, democracy is a farce. Democracy doesn't work in Africa. It will not work, and it doesn't work. No wonder it's in decline. And these strong men will always use democracy for their own benefits. The person goes on to say, Jones, I'm glad you brought up what the president of Nigeria said when the people of Benue were being murdered. Now he wants to blame everything on the Sahel region. I'm glad he has served his term and now he can leave office, because what he claimed to have achieved, none of us can attest to it. Okay. Well, keep your thoughts and comments coming in. Joshua has texted. Joshua is saying, Jones, I beg to differ, and I disagree with you in the previous text. Democracy does work. Democracy is the only way that Africa can develop as a continent. Democracy does not just consist of elections. What about rights? What about freedom of the individual? And moreover, about tolerance. So democracy must work. And I think, as you said, you need to take responsibility as a host, as a journalist. You know, by claiming that democracy does not work, I don't think it's helpful at all. Good morning. I mean, look, I take your position. I understand your position, but of course, I also have my take on this. Now, I said, if you're listening to me, I did make mention that European Parliament actually did a study and realized that democracy across the continent of Africa is actually on a decline. So this is not me making it up. It just shows that it's not working. And to countries that profess that democracy is working, it's just on a superficial level. If you look closely and deeply, you realize that there are some serious challenges. What Ghana, I can use Ghana for instance, because Ghana is considered one of the countries, more stable countries. We've seen successive governments. We've seen, fair transition of power without any hiccups, without any violence. But on election day, there are violence. People have been murdered. Ballot boxes have been stolen. There have been cases where elections have been deemed to be rigged. So to suggest that, democracy is perfect and is working by any stretch of the imagination, I don't believe so. I don't think so. Yes, there is an argument to make that it's working, but by whose standards? Because it looks as if the West standards of democracy when it comes to the African context seems to be somehow different. And I did say earlier on that there's been instances where they've called, the international community, the observers have come in and said this election was free and fair, knowing full well that it wasn't. So I think it's debatable. And I don't think, yes, we do have a level of responsibility here, but I don't think we're propagating anything or with any agenda. I think if anything, we're just trying to give you both sides of the argument to help you make an informed decision. If you look across the continent of Africa, and if you talk about democracy, post the Second World War, Africans were told to adopt this ideology, and moving from the Second World War to a more modernized world, the New World Order at the time, democracy was the one that was to help develop and build sustainable economies for the new states that were formed post the colonial era. So, you do the maths. I mean, you do the research. Whether that has come to fruition or not, it's one thing. You tell me. You tell me. I don't need to go far. Just look at the poverty rate. So. Yes, on one hand, you can argue that it has worked. On the other hand, you can argue that it doesn't work. The point I do take, though, is the level of tolerance, because this has been the bone of contention. Tribalism has been something that has always been, if you look at the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, you can argue that has not been the case in Ghana and some parts across the continent of Africa. But by and large, it has been the main contention that has brought about violence, conflict. But even Ghana, you can debate it. And I keep saying, if you really want to know Ghana, you need to dig deep. Don't look at it with, tinted glasses or from afar. Go deep and you realize, and you'll be able to see exactly what it is that's going on. So yes, it's not perfect. I don't believe that there's anything such as a perfect system in the world. But at the same breath, I can argue that it hasn't worked. I can. And how do I know? Because I'm here in a country that it has worked. And I've been to Ghana and I've seen that, yes, elections, like I said, it depends, how you're judging it by. If you're judging it by, the post-colonial era, where it was meant to bring about development and so on and so forth, then, the argument would be it hasn't worked. It's been tried and tested. And your tolerance that I keep taking on board, which in some instances, democracy has failed to tackle these issues, where some people hold an entrenched position. I mean, if you look at Sudan, for instance, Darfur, the instability there. To now there is a transitional government in place, which is the military. They don't want to let go of power. Now, prior to that, the former president who was overthrown due to the protests that took place in Sudan, he actually wanted to make the whole place an Islamic state, which goes against, other cultures and other tribes in Sudan. So there you have it. Tolerance, yes, in most cases, it has brought people together to put their tribal issues aside and think about the nation as a state that they all belong to. But hasn't been able to fix the entire problem? I don't think so. I don't think so. So there are pros and cons. But thank you. Thank you for your text messages. Thank you. All right. I think this will probably be our last text message from Josh. Joshua has texted in, saying that, Jones, thank you very much for the way you articulate your argument. It makes sense, and I think whether you agree or disagree, you can take something away from it. Thank you, Josh. On the subject of football, I think that Senegal will beat England, and I hope that Ghana can go all the way. Isn't it amazing that the African countries that went to the World Cup, all the managers are Africans? Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. I mean, this comes back with the debate, whether foreign or local. And there you go. I mean, back in the days, it used to be, it was foreigners that were able to take, foreign coaches, rather, that helped teams develop. But when it comes to football, it's very difficult to attach foreign or local to it. I find it difficult because football is universal. You don't need to come from a particular country to be able to help or groom or build a team to go and do wonderful things, because football is universal. Football doesn't know anything about race, color, gender. It doesn't. It's just being able to have a tactical mind and understanding individuals, understanding players, to be able to come up with formation that's suitable to the team that you have, to be able to go on to win trophies. So, good. It's good to point that out. Anyway, this is where we bring the show to, and thank you very much for joining us, the people that could not send a text message. I do know that people listen. I do. That we have silent listeners. So if you happen to be a silent listener, good morning to you, wherever it is that you're doing this morning. Look after yourself. And all being well, we shall catch up again next week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your day, wherever it is that you're doing. Make sure that you have a good day. One more text. Sarah, good morning, Jones. Couldn't get my text in, but finally I have Ghana Black Stars all the way. To all the people that doubted the players, they have shown us that we need to support them and fully back them. Let's not be too negative about things that have happened in the past. The rest of the world have moved on, and so we must also move on. Politics, Canada, Japan is not the one to what? To talk about other people, especially Bawumia. Bawumia must be given the opportunity to also become the leader of this country. Yes, he's Northerner, and we must accept him. Yes, he's a Northerner. Okay, see, there you go. There you go. So we're alluding to the fact that, the MPP government in Ghana, this is the political party. There's a strong discussion going on behind closed doors on who's going to become the next flag bearer for the party in the year 2024's election. But I get a sense that it's not going to be as straightforward as these two, particularly these two NPP and NDC parties may think. I mean, you have the Progressive People's Party, the PPP. Apparently, they're looking to consolidate, their party with other parties to come together to form an alliance, which of course will have impact on both renowned parties, the NDC and the NPP. So interesting times ahead. Canada Japan is serious. It's serious. Now, anyway, I don't want to go into that. Let's leave that. Let's see what happens if he really, really wants to become the president of Ghana, or the flag bearer, I should say. Okay, because that's the process. They have to go through that first before they even, whether they come out triumphant. Who knows? I will keep a close eye on that. We're done for today. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. One song I'll be playing throughout the program is Tunein. The song is called Already. Make sure you check it out. I think it's on all your platforms, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. Apple is all on there. Make sure you download it and support him. It's a good song. I'll leave you with this song. Look after yourself, all being well. I'll see you next week.
Your body's up for debate. I started beat about the bush till date. To think about the way you scatter the place. I want to talk about the smile on your face. This your love now on your ma. FDA don't stamp on them. Won't you show me how you move? 'Cause I